Hello, thank you for your interest in APS. Our technology, APS Online, is a single system workforce management solution that streamlines and simplifies the entire employee lifecycle. Not only does APS offer core payroll and tax compliance, also an HR solution that includes everything from recruiting and onboarding, benefits administration, performance management, and much more. Today, we're going to specifically focus on our Sage Intacct integration. Therefore, clients that do utilize Sage Intacct with APS can simply enable the integration within our admin console under our option for dimensions, entering in their Sage Intacct credentials and enabling the Intacct integration. Now, one efficiency that our clients gain is being able to sync their dimensions. So this is one of the first steps with the integration, is determining what dimensions that we want to use on the payroll side of the integration. So for example, we've enabled the grant dimension. Each time I add a new grant within Sage Intacct, that grant would automatically sync to APS Online. I don't have to initiate this each time. Once the integration is enabled, this process would happen automatically. Our clients also have the ability to configure dimension restrictions. Therefore, if we just added a new location, for example, I have a new South Detroit location dimension that's been enabled, I can assign that to all employees. Therefore, all employees could either charge time to this location, or I could configure a specific allocation for their labor cost and assign a portion of that to the new location. So certainly I don't have to assign it to all. I could filter my list and select a certain group or select individual employees and apply the new dimension item to their profile. So this is an example of managing this more in bulk or in mass for groups of employees versus editing and managing this information on the employee profile. As I transition into one of our sample demo employee records, not only are we capturing the core demographic profile, the tax settings, the potential rates and deductions for this employee, but I also can configure those dimensions for Amy. So you can see we've enabled the project dimension for Amy. We're allowing Amy to select an item within this dimension. And a dimension is also required. So therefore, if Amy's an employee that is punching in and punching out on a daily basis, and not only do I need to know what department she's clocking into, but what project she's working on, for example, well, then these would be her options. And certainly I can enable multiple dimensions for Amy to ensure that we're capturing her proper labor costs when she's not only working on a project, but grants or a particular location. On Amy's time tab, we can specifically assign the time capture method, whether you have staff members that need to clock in and clock out, either on a computer, tablet, or even mobile device. We can enable mobile clocking and even use our clock zone technology to geofence the location, or other situations may allow for an employee just to fill out an online timesheet. So therefore, I could assign a timesheet to Amy where she can self-report versus punching in and punching out. A few more things here on the employee profile. There could be a situation where you wanted to allocate Amy's hours, even though she's an hourly employee. We want to allocate her time on a percentage basis instead of her selecting the different dimensions each time. We can set up an allocation. She would just clock into her base department and the system would automatically allocate her time, versus a salary employee, which you may want to utilize a static allocation for their per pay period salary. So for our demo employee, William, we've enabled the percent allocation, and currently we're splitting his allocation up in 3 different buckets, if you will. Of course, this can be edited at any time. And we can also even allow a salary employee to use a time allocation. So if a salary employee is filling out a timesheet, then their effort that they report on the timesheet would update their allocation each pay period. So everything we looked at so far has been more of that perspective of an administrator to allow and assign specific dimension items for employees to track time or set these dynamic settings on the employee record. Transitioning into self-service, we can see where specifically Amy has the options to clock into a particular department or make a different selection on her departments. We must select a project because we don't have a default selected. We have a default grant, but if she needs to make a different selection, she has that ability. And then, of course, we have the ability for her to designate the proper location. So once she has made sure that all the individual allocations or dimension items have been selected, then she can simply clock in. Transitioning back into my perspective of an administrator, at the end of the pay period, supervisors and managers would automatically be notified to simply approve time cards for their staff. As we transition into a sample payroll that we already have created, we are looking at a quick example for team members that have their compensation already identified, and we're at the process to approve for final processing. So the great thing about the single system design, as an administrator, I don't have to manually key in payroll data. Time data will automatically load from our employee time cards once approved. And then with our GL integration with Sage Intacct, I have the ability to either configure the automation, or I can initiate a simple push to send. So it's as simple as just enabling the automation for the file to automatically sync on check date. Now, on our example today, we will go through the process of the push to send. So I have a sample check date that we will go ahead and resend, but I'll preview the file first. So here's my sample GL file. If I need to copy this to a clipboard, I can preview the information. Now, before I send this to Sage Intacct, I will toggle into my Sage Intacct instance, verify my current journal entries for my company 10 transactions. My most recent transaction number is 694. So I toggle back into APS Online. And again, this is the push to send versus the automation of the auto sync after check date. And just by keying in resend, my request has been processed. I have a successful message. We'll verify our check date as well as our totals. Refreshing this static screen. And we can see our updated transaction number of 695, and I can verify my journal entries within Sage Intacct. We have our check date of 10/23, as well as our total for debits and credits. It's important to note that our direct integration with Sage Intacct does not require a third-party software to upload this information. It is a direct platform-to-platform integration. Hopefully this video has been valuable for you. Please reach out if you have any additional questions or comments.